It's Monday, so we have to start the stop. Blah, 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 blah. We have to talk like a human being. That helps. Starting hour 2. We are starting. It is Monday, so that means hard right, hard left. Let's do it. Things that I got the most right and the thing that I got the most wrong. It's always good to give yourself a check and to just acknowledge when you are wrong. And, it never hurts to give yourself a pat on the back. Both are valid. So let's start with hard right. I have beat the drum all year that this Chiefs team, this exact version this year, I don't discredit the dynasty. I don't discredit what they've accomplished. But I did discredit that this team was that great. Yes, they would have, if they had won this game, they would have had all the reason in the world to celebrate. You couldn't tell them anything. They would have had the three-peat. They would have had the 15-2 record, turn that into the playoffs, an 18-2 record, which would have been one of 3 teams all time to win 18-plus games in a Super Bowl. They would have had a top-tier defense. We would have known. They would have had the Hall of Fame head coach, the Hall of Fame quarterback, the Hall of Fame tight end, the Hall of Fame defensive tackle. All that stuff would have looked great in a book looking back on the history of this dynasty of the Kansas City Chiefs. I also never bought that this team was that good. I never bought that this team was the team that should have won another Super Bowl. I spoke about this to start the first hour, is the regression to the mean was 1,000% real. The idea that the Chiefs were just squeaking by all these other teams, and Tony's going to come and join me later, and he talks about this of sometimes in sports, it sounds weird and we don't like it because we want like this extra reasoning. We want everything to seem, logical. Sometimes it's not your time. Sometimes it's not just your day. And sometimes shit just works out for you. And the Kansas City Chiefs, this version of them this year, a lot of stuff just worked out for them. Is it credible that the game against Denver, that yes, they had film on Denver not being a great kick blocking team? Sure. Do I also think it's semi-happenstance that Denver only had 1 kick blocked all year despite that shaky line and had no kicks blocked up until that point? Do I think it's legitimate to say the Raiders are not a well-coached team or weren't really buttoned up and principled? Yeah. Do I also think it's lucky and just happened to be their time that they made that mistake on Christmas against the Chiefs? The kick against the Chargers, Harrison Butker just wanted it to roll in. Again, this team, when you look at the names on paper, you're going to see Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, all the things, Trent McDuffie. You're going to see all the things that would say, yeah, this is clearly the team that three-peated. This was the crowning piece or the peak of the dynasty. But if you actually watch them play, and I know Chiefs fans, and again, I'm a hater, and I'm not even telling Chiefs fans to really acknowledge this or to like this, because I guarantee you, if I was in your spot, I wouldn't acknowledge it either. I'd be mad about it as well. But this team, this year, was not the team to win a Super Bowl. And it showed when they had to play top-end competition. Now, they have this mystique about them. The Patriots used to have this, where teams just do shit the bed against them. Buffalo in the playoffs, a great example. The Texans, you could even tell, were playing with an edge, whether you want to say that's referee or Kansas City driven. The factor's still there. But the Eagles weren't scared of them. They went for it early on 4th down. The Eagles walked into that game and played that game yesterday like, we are the better team. We're more physical. We're more talented. We are just better than you, and we are going to kick your ass, and you're going to have to deal with it. And that's what they did. They kicked the Chiefs' ass. They deserved the win. They got it. And this team, this year, I don't care about the names. I don't care about the resumes. This team was not a Super Bowl team. I was on that early. And did it take until the very last game? Yes. Because that's, to their credit, how great Mahomes and Reid can be in these clutch scenarios. And I do believe they're great in clutch scenarios. Like, two things can be true. I can acknowledge that you're great in these situations, and I can also acknowledge you got a little lucky. So, my hard right, the Kansas City Chiefs, the 2024 version, we're not a Super Bowl team. Hard left, this is my apology. Obviously, we're keeping the Super Bowl theme for the day. Nick Sirianni, I was wrong, bro. And I don't know how I was wrong. And I do think Sirianni is now accomplished enough, you have to say he's a great head coach. Playoffs every year, 2 out of 4 seasons, get to a Super Bowl, just won a Super Bowl, dominating the dynasty of the NFL. You got to say he's a great head coach. And I think I don't believe that you have to play the sport in order to really understand it. But I do think certain things make more sense if you have played, obviously. And I think this might be it. I think there's a handful of coaches in the NFL currently who the average fan can't understand. We can understand McVay, Shanahan, Andy Reid, Sean Payton, these guys that are really XOs, brilliant, and have these really cool schemes and get guys open. We can understand that as fans. But if you've never been in a locker room, specifically a football locker room, if you've never played football at a really high level, I think it's harder to understand the Dan Campbells of the world, the Nick Siriannis of the world, these guys who just build a culture and get guys to really buy into the message. I think about this a lot. What do you have to say to a professional athlete, a grown-ass man who's making 10 figures and sound believable, right? Anyone can do the rah-rah stuff. Hey, let's go, guys, let's go. Anyone could do the, let me just scream and bark. Man, what are you doing? Blah, blah. But what really makes someone believable as a head coach, especially a culture guy? Again, if you're just a schemes guy, I think we can all understand that. Oh, what you're teaching me, no different than if you're in a classroom and your teacher, who is hopefully smarter than you, can just teach you something about the game that you go, okay, I get it. I understand why you're the teacher and I'm the student. I am trying to learn from you. But to be a culture builder, to be a guy who is believable to these 6-figure, 7-figure, 10-figure guys, 8-figure guys. Don't listen to my math. Maybe we just don't understand it. And I'm calling myself out too. Because again, I was wrong. I have never given Nick Sirianni a lot of credit. I have thought that, and this might still happen, because Philadelphia is just, again, I believe their GM is the reason that they won. But I can't totally take away, again, 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. The guy has been to the playoffs every single season. They were a 4-win team before he got there, and I know there's history there. When Reid was there, they were good. When Peterson was there, they were good, and they won a Super Bowl. And so it never really feels like Philadelphia's been down. But he's gotten to 2. Doug Peterson only got to 1. Andy Reid only got to 1. At some point, you got to give the man his credit. Your resume is your resume. And his resume is impressive as hell. That's the reality of it. So, my hard left, Nick Sirianni, my bad, bro. Maybe I don't understand it because I was never a football player. Maybe that's it.